The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, central bank swap contracts increase as Sri Lanka's foreign exchange reserves decline amid recent interest rate cuts. Sri Lanka to initiate development for floating solar power projects to boost renewable energy capacity. Sri Lanka's stock indices decline as investors remain cautious amid uncertain market conditions. And S&P 500 and Nasdaq hit new record highs amid investor optimism over potential interest rate cuts.
From Studio 24C, here's Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Sri Lanka's central bank swap contracts with domestic market participants have increased as gross and net foreign exchange reserves declined. This trend follows recent rate cuts and rising liabilities from loans and swap agreements impacting the country's reserve levels.
Swap contracts between Sri Lanka's central bank and domestic market participants have continued to rise. Gross official reserves fell from $6,144 million in July to $5,531 million in March, despite a slight rise from June to July. Net reserves after swaps dropped from $2,799 million in March to $2,210 million in July to $2,200 million in June. Between December 2024 and June 2025, gross reserves declined slightly, while swaps increased from $3,548 million to $3,870 million, reducing net reserves further. Although gross reserves have decreased following rate cuts and increased domestic credit, net reserves were generally stable until June, but fell afterward due to these pressures.
The Cabinet of Ministers has granted policy approval to introduce the Microfinance and Loan Regulation Authority Act. This approval allows the legal draftsman to draft a new bill based on a final report by the Policy and Monitoring Committee. The report reflects stakeholder input, proposed amendments, and compliance with a Supreme Court order. The move follows a previous attempt in October of 2023 to repeal the Microfinance Act No. 6 of 2016, which faced legal charges. In response, a parliamentary committee recommended forming a body to review concerns and develop a new framework. The updated bill will be gazetted and presented to Parliament for approval. The Sri Lankan Cabinet has approved the initiation of a procurement process to explore floating solar power as a key renewable energy solution. This move aligns with national goals to generate 70% of electricity from renewables by 2030.
The Cabinet of Ministers in Sri Lanka has approved starting the procurement process to invite proposals for consultancy services on floating solar power projects. This initiative supports the government's target to generate 70% of electricity from renewable sources by 2030 and achieve zero carbon emissions in power generation by 2050. The Renewable Energy Resource Development Plan 2026-2030 has identified several reservoirs suitable for floating solar projects with an estimated capacity of 3,000 megawatts using 10% of their surface area. The move aims to diversify Sri Lanka's clean energy portfolio by utilizing underused water surfaces as an alternative to limited land for solar power generation.
Sri Lanka's Export Development Council of Ministers is exploring new tariff agreements to help achieve the government's export target of $36 billion by 2030. The target marks a significant increase from last year's $16.17 billion, covering both merchandise and service exports. Key sectors highlighted include gem and jewelry, pharmaceuticals, poultry, meat, tea, and spices. The president emphasized promoting export-related investments and supporting the electronic export sector with raw material supply. The EDCM aims to strengthen the export sector through tariff reforms and strategic development initiatives. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market saw a slight decline today, with the ASPI dropping by 0.23% and the S&P SL20 also falling by 0.37%, reflecting a cautious trading session. For further insights on this, we have Salama Sanun from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The Colombo Stock Exchange has been experiencing mixed sentiment and high levels of volatility as of late, and a similar pattern was noted in today's session. The all-share price index closed at 19,929, registering a drop of 47 points amidst moderate fluctuations throughout the day. The index opened with brief gains before declining until midday, after which it recovered slightly towards the close. Negative drivers towards the index marginally outweighed the positive ones, with Haley's, Sampath Bank, Central Finance Company, Cargill Ceylon and National Development Bank leading the way. Today's turnover amounted to 7.1 billion rupees, marking an 11% increase from the monthly average of around 6.4 billion rupees. The transportation sector dominated turnover, contributing 20% on the back of a pygmy crossing, followed by the banking and diversified financial sectors with a combined contribution of 34%. The top three gainers for the day were Abans PLC, Alpha Fire Services and Laxapana PLC, whereas the top three price losers were Tess Agro Non-Voting, Tess Agro Voting and Odell PLC. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's banking sector continues to play a pivotal role in supporting economic activity through credit expansion. Recent trends reflect changes in lending patterns amid evolving monetary conditions. For further insights on this, we have Akna Thennakun from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The central bank has released data on the banking sector's performance for the first quarter of 2025. The sector began the year on a strong footing, showing notable improvements across profitability, lending, asset quality, and capital strength. Profit after tax rose sharply by nearly 97% year-on-year to 93.6 billion rupees, supported by a 34% increase in net interest income and a 41% increase in gross income. This robust earnings performance reflects prudent management of interest spreads in a declining interest rate environment. Loan growth also remained encouraging, with gross loans and receivables expanding by almost 8% year-on-year, alongside a substantial 26% increase in investments. This signals a balanced approach between credit expansion and portfolio diversification. Asset quality continued its gradual recovery as the gross NPL ratio edged down to 12.7% from 12.9% a year earlier, despite a moderate rise in absolute NPL volumes. Moving ahead, capital buffers strengthened further, with the regulatory capital to risk-weighted assets ratio improving to 19.3% from 17.7% in the previous year. Tier 1 capital mirrored this improvement, reflecting prudent capital retention and strong earnings accretion well above minimum regulatory requirements. Overall, these results underscore the sector's resilience and readiness to support overall economic activity as well as economic growth. Thank you.
Gold prices edged higher in Asian trade today, lifted by hopes for a Federal Reserve rate cut next month, while investors awaited US-Russia talks due this week. Spot gold edged 0.2% higher to $3,361.87 an ounce, while gold futures for December were largely steady at $3,409.65 an ounce. Gold prices ticked higher for the third consecutive day after a sharp decline at the start of the week when President Donald Trump said gold bars would not face tariffs. Platinum futures dipped 0.2% to $1,346.65 an ounce, while silver futures edged 0.1% higher to $38.645 an ounce. Benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange were largely unchanged at $9,805.65 a ton, while US copper futures also traded flat at $4.50 a pound. Oil prices rose marginally in Asian trade today as focus remains squarely on how an upcoming meeting between US and Russian leaders will affect supplies. Brent oil futures for October rose 0.4% to $65.88 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 0.3% to $62.13 a barrel. Oil's losses this week were driven by bearish supply forecasts from both the US government and the International Energy Agency. The IEA warned that global oil supplies appeared bloated, especially after the OPEC Plus steadily hiked its production this year. Trump's delivering on this threat, coupled with any more restrictions on Russia's oil industry, stand to curb global oil supplies and could spur some strength in crude prices. The Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated slightly against the US dollar today. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has reduced from 297 rupees and 21 cents to 297 rupees and 18 cents, while the selling rate has also dropped from 304 rupees and 70 cents to 304 rupees and 68 cents. However, the Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated against a basket of foreign currencies, while it has appreciated against Gulf currencies. Let's take a closer look now on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed among the other major currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sampath Bank has partnered with global payments firm Bankstack to launch Alipay Plus payment acceptance in Sri Lanka. This move enables merchants to accept cross-border digital payments across Asia and beyond, enhancing transaction ease and security.
Sampath Bank PLC has partnered with Bankstack to launch Alipay Plus payment acceptance for both physical and online merchants in Sri Lanka. This builds on the bank's previous collaboration with Ant International, which introduced Alipay acceptance for online merchants. With Alipay Plus, Sampath now enables payments from users in China and multiple Asian and European countries, reaching over 1.5 billion accounts globally. Its transaction management platform enhances operational efficiency through real-time monitoring, fraud mitigation, and instant notifications. Merchants can also issue US dollar refunds to Alipay and partner wallets when needed.
HNB Assurance PLC has formed a strategic bank assurance partnership with a state mortgage and investment bank. The collaboration aims to deliver tailored life insurance solutions to SMIB's customers, enhancing financial protection and accessibility. Following the signing of an MOU for decreasing term assurance, the partnership is now in full implementation through SMIB's island-wide network. SMIB CEO Tushara Asuramanna emphasized the value-added services this partnership brings to their customers' financial journeys. HNB Assurance also noted that the initiative will strengthen insurance penetration by combining SMIB's community presence with its innovation-driven offerings. Nestlé Lanka, in partnership with the Coconut Cultivation Board, has expanded its coconut development plan to promote regenerative agriculture among Sri Lankan coconut farmers.
Nestlé Lanka, in collaboration with the Coconut Cultivation Board, conducted a 2-day training program under its Coconut Developmental Plan to promote regenerative agriculture among coconut farmers. The program focuses on improving coconut yields while conserving natural resources like soil and water. Nestlé Lanka's chairman Bernie Stefan emphasized the company's commitment to supporting farmers and achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Nestlé, with over 115 years in Sri Lanka, supports more than 8,000 coconut farmers and continues to invest significantly in the local coconut industry.
Toyota Lanka hosted the Regional Product Exposium 2025 at its head office in Wattala, bringing together over 20 participants from across Asia. The event focused on sharing technical expertise and best practices in Toyota genuine motor oil and spare parts dealer operations. Toyota Lanka showcased success stories highlighting the impact of Toyota genuine motor oil in the local market. Delegates toured key facilities including the Wattala head office, fulfillment center and strategic distributor and dealer locations. This event underscores Toyota Lanka's commitment to enhancing the expertise of regional distributors and strengthening its market leadership. NDB Bank has partnered with leading education consultancy International Scholar to ease financial barriers for Sri Lankan students pursuing overseas education.
NDB Bank has entered into a strategic partnership with International Scholar to support Sri Lankan students pursuing overseas education. The MOU was signed at NDB's head office by senior representatives from both organizations. Through this collaboration, NDB Bank will offer customized financial services, including education loans, student file facilities, and foreign remittance support. The aim is to provide families with a seamless and reliable financial foundation for international study. This partnership marks a significant step toward making global education more accessible and stress-free for local students.
Let's take a short commercial break now. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stock markets were mixed today, with Australia hitting a fresh record high boosted by Westpac earnings, while Japan's stocks retreated from peak levels as a stronger yen weighed. Tokyo's Nikkei 225 dropped 1.3% to 42,642.31. Japan's broader Topix index also declined 1% from a record high of over 3,100 points. In China, Shanghai's composite index gained 0.6%, while the Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 rose 0.6%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index edged 0.2% higher. Other regional markets were subdued. South Korea's Kospi Index edged 0.2% lower, while Singapore's Straits Times Index fell 0.4%. Futures tied to India's Nifty 50 edged 0.1% lower. Australia's S&P ASX 200 Index jumped 0.8% to 8,996.80 points. The benchmark S&P 500 and Nasdaq indexes hit new closing highs for the second straight day on hopes that the Federal Reserve was getting close to a monetary easing cycle.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Wednesday, with the Dow adding 1%, the S&P 500 gaining about 1/3%, and the Nasdaq ticking up marginally. It was the second straight day of record closing highs for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. Stocks on Wednesday were buoyed by increasing confidence that the Federal Reserve was getting closer to cutting interest rates. Traders are now fully pricing in a 25 basis point cut at the Fed's September policy meeting, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Wednesday that he thought an aggressive half-point cut was possible given recent weak employment numbers. Stocks on the move Wednesday included Apple, which rose more than 1.5% after Bloomberg News reported the company is plotting expansion into AI-powered robots, home security, and smart displays. AI data center operator CoreWeave, which is backed by NVIDIA, fell almost 21% after the company reported a bigger-than-expected quarterly net loss. And shares of Paramount Skydance jumped more than 36% as the company won exclusive broadcasting rights to the Ultimate Fighting Championship for 7 years.
In a bid to compete with delivery services offered by Walmart and Instacart, Amazon expanded its fast delivery option for its Prime members to include perishable items like fruit, milk, and frozen dinners.
Amazon announced on Wednesday that it is expanding its grocery fast delivery option for its Prime members to include perishable items like fruit, milk, and frozen dinners. It's the latest move by Amazon to compete with grocery delivery services offered by Walmart and Instacart. Amazon stock rose as much as 1.5% in Wednesday morning trading, while Walmart slipped as much as 2.5% and Instacart plunged 12% at one point. Amazon shoppers in more than 1,000 U.S. cities, including Phoenix and Tampa, can already get doorstep delivery within hours of placing an order. Amazon plans to expand its fast delivery service to 2,300 cities by the end of the year. The company announced in June it is investing $4 billion to bring same-day and next-day delivery services to more than 4,000 rural U.S. communities by the end of the year as well. Previously, Prime subscribers' grocery orders were fulfilled through Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods. Now the additional service will complete orders through its same-day delivery logistics locations. Prime members who pay about $15 a month or $149 a year will get this benefit for free for orders over $25, which is the minimum required for free delivery for Walmart Plus members who pay $98 a year. Walmart said in May that it will soon be able to offer delivery within 3 hours to 95% of the U.S. population, and that faster delivery speeds are helping drive its business. Between February and April, Walmart reported a 91% increase in deliveries under 3 hours compared with the same period last year. One analyst told Reuters the move by Amazon to lower the minimum order to $25 directly threatens Instacart by enabling customers to use Amazon for quick one-off purchases, which is a core part of Instacart's main appeal.
And that wraps up today's nightly business report. We value your opinion as always, so please share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 07680579933. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates across the business globe. And until then, Vinod Vardasurya will meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night.